This is Maximum Lawyer with your host, Tyson Mutrux.
Welcome back to another Saturday episode of the Maximum Lawyer podcast. I'm Tyson Mutrux, and today I'm going to be talking about 5 dead simple ways to expand any idea. These are pretty cool. I'm looking forward to getting into it with you. Before I do, make sure you submit any questions or comments you have by going to MaximumLawyer.com/ask, and I will play them live on the air and answer your questions for you. You can also text me 314-501-9260. I would love to hear from you. That's 314-501-9260. I will read your question on the air and answer it for you. I would love to hear from you. So go do that. All right. So these 5 dead simple ways to expand any idea, they come from a guy by the name of Dickie Bush. He's a writer. He's got a writing software you can buy. We had someone recently on the podcast that mentioned Dickie. I follow him on X. He gives a lot of great tips, so I recommend it. There's one recently, though. It was this one that I wanted to talk about on the show because I think it's a really cool way of expanding your content. So it's not just expanding an idea to me, because that's the way he put it, is, expand any idea. But if you have content, you're trying to find ways of expanding your content, whether it's a video or a post or you name it, something on your website. These can be helpful with all those things, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. So the first is tips. So, you have this idea, and then you can kind of break it down even more by, adding tips to it, whatever that idea might be. The second one, it's stats, so statistics. That's something that I try to do quite a bit. You may have noticed on the podcast, I actually will go looking whenever I've got a topic that I talk about. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll go looking for statistics that I can add to it, because I think statistics are really, really helpful. Statistics are something where I can tell you a bit of information, right? But there's so much crap out there that it's just not reliable, that there's so many people that just give the ridiculous opinions. It's not fact, it's just an opinion. But if I can give you a bit of information and then add a statistic to it to show that it's reliable, it gives you that authority. I will try to do that. And that's why I do that. I will add statistics whenever I can to help give whatever I'm telling you a little bit of authority. That way I'm not, I'm not just, blathering at the mouth. It's one of those things where it is really important. The third one that Dickie talks about is steps. Okay. So you break whatever it is down into steps. So let's say you have an idea about, obviously, we're lawyers, so you wouldn't use this one, but I'm going to use this as an example, about getting healthy. So you might break that down into steps. Step 1, cut sugar out of your diet. Step 2, eat more vegetables, whatever it may be. You can do that same thing with content, and it's a little more clickbaity whenever you say, the 5 steps of whatever. For example, 5 dead simple ways to expand any idea. It's the same thing. You break it down into steps. He said instead 5 dead simple ways. I could have easily just said 5 dead simple steps. We could have used the same thing. So I could have said, 5 steps to expand any piece of content, and you start with tips, and then you add in statistics, and then you add in steps, and you add in stories, and you're in quotes. So you can do this in a variety of ways. You get the point. 4, I just teased it. I told you the last 2. Stories, adding stories. And that is something I've learned over the last 6 months or so, about adding stories to the content, not just telling facts, but adding stories into things. It makes things more memorable. Those of you that are in court quite a bit, you know, when you're trying cases, you want to try to tell stories as much as possible. That is something that you can easily add, make things much more memorable, make things more digestible by adding in stories. That is a really, really good one. And then the last one is quotes. Quotes are another effective way. You can use people that are, if you use a Steve Jobs quote, I think at this point it's kind of gotten a little cliche, but anytime you use like a Warren Buffett or a Steve Jobs type of quote, those can be a little cliche. But if, let's say instead, I'm talking about, something in the financial sector that is more current, Warren Buffett says something about it. Well, if I were in the financial industry, I'd sure as hell mention it. Same thing when it comes to what we do. So if you're talking about trial stuff, and if Nick Rowley says something about it, those of you that that don't know Nick, Nick is one of the best trial attorneys in the country, if not the best trial attorney in the country. And so if Nick were to say something that was quote worthy, you better believe I'm gonna mention it in whatever I'm doing. So these are 5 really easy ways that you can expand ideas, that you can expand content. So hopefully you can get something from this. It's really simple. And the way Dickie put it in here, he said, anytime I sit down to write a paragraph, these are the items, quote unquote, items that pop into my head to give the idea more depth. And I think that's brilliant. So anytime you're writing content, this is an easy way to expand it. So hopefully this helps you out. That is all I have for you today. As a reminder, though, shoot me a text, 314-501-9260. If you have something you want me to cover on the show, I'm happy to do so. Until next week, remember that consistent action is the blueprint that turns your goals into reality. See you, buddy.